Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, do I have to commit seppuku if I mess up this review? Because I just did. I don't want to. Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing the Shōgun series on FX. That's right. So this is created by, I'm going to mess up names and I apologize for it because I really think you guys did an amazing job. So it was created by Rachel Kondo and Justin Marks, based on Shōgun by James Clavell. I just did a novel review of that, so if you want to see what the novel's like, go ahead and check that out. And this is released February 27, 2024 through April 23rd, 2024. We have a wonderful cast of just amazing actors, and I think the strength of this series is not necessarily the story of Shōgun, which is ironic because that's what it's about. I think the strength of this series is the historical accuracy that it goes to portray the era, the dynastic era of the series, of the novel itself. And they went above and beyond. The art department just killed it. They absolutely killed it, from fashion designers to music to set designers. Everything about this. And the actors are so on point throughout the entire series. You just believe everything that they're saying and doing. And that's the hallmark of a great actor. You don't have to be like, well, I couldn't really see them saying that or doing that, but for the sake of the series or film, I'm going to just believe it. No. I was in from episode 1. I didn't understand the story. I didn't know the story, so it was all unfolding for me for the very first time. I didn't read the novel until I read the novel at the end of the year rather than seeing the series at the beginning of the year. And we went to Tokyo in spring after the series started. Beautiful. But, we saw some of the locations and heard some of the names and, from the series. And then we went to Tokyo and went to all of the emperor's castle, and we saw museums and tombs and grave sites, and it was amazing. It was just amazing because my experience being there after having seen this historical reference and then coming home and finishing the series and just reliving all of those places and ideas and thoughts. Oh man, it was great. And just everything about this series is beautiful, from the introduction. I don't ever remember series intros being a big deal until maybe 6 Feet Under. Maybe that was the turning point for me, because then we had Sopranos and stuff like that. That's when intros to series really started being like big time important and being like a showcase. Now they just feel derivative and garbage. But that's, back then, that's when it really was like, oh, look at that. This is amazing. This intro for this one is like one of those beautiful sand artistic design places where they like rake designs into sand and stuff. And it's also telling the sort of setup story of, in a very simplistic sort of Game of Thrones way, of the actual series itself. Brilliant. I mean, it's beautiful and it's brilliant. And who doesn't love Japanese design? Who doesn't love Japanese culture? Now, I, being a designer myself, an art director, graphic designer, I went up through college being obsessed with Japanese design until I went to Tokyo and saw that everything that I loved and obsessed over is gone. It's this weird commercial insanity now. It's its own style of, commercial storytelling. And it works for them, so good for them. But sweet hell is it disgusting and offensive to me as a professional in the industry. I just can't stand it. I think it's the worst, literally the worst design anywhere, full stop. But it wasn't always that way. It used to be stunning. All right, the show was so good that it got just a shit ton of awards. So it became the first Japanese language series. Oh yeah, and it was all Japanese language. This is a subtitled series. I think they did offer like an English dub version, but only assholes do that. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's performed by the actors with subtitles for us English-speaking, non-bilingual people. just watch it in its original context. It feels so much more immersive, and you still, you get used to reading. If you can't read, you're not an adult. So I don't know. We watched it in full subtitled original performance, and Japanese language is shockingly bizarre for Western speakers of whatever, English, French, German, whatever. But it was beautiful. It was genuinely beautiful. And it won Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Drama Series with its first season, winning 18 categories at the 76th Prime Emmy Awards and the 76th Prime Creative Arts Emmy Awards, setting new records as the most awarded single season of television in Emmy history. And it deserved every one of them. This is a standout series that is unbelievable, completely original, and beautiful. There is a Shōgun series that was released. I think it was like the 70s or 80s or something like that. But nothing holds a candle to what they did with this series. FX knocked it out of the park. They really just went with the best creators and just put something out there that is visually arresting, and it's sort of like a generational triumph of I can't really say TV because it's not TV, it's streaming. That there is a difference in that, but of TV, like there's no other real word to describe it, because when you think of television series, nothing comes close to this. That's like this. There's series that are like Sopranos and Game of Thrones, the first 4 seasons, which for what they are the most amazing things that ever happened for what they are. This is the most amazing thing to ever happen for what it is. And so it is sort of up there in those echelons of, if you like storytelling, if you like historical period dramas, or political intrigue, you have to see this series. It's totally worth every second of your time. So there's about 10 episodes. Each of them are around 53 to 70 minutes long, depending. Music was composed by Atticus Ross, Leopold Ross, and Nick Chuba. And again, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's immersive, and it just grabs you and pulls you right into dynastic Japan. And you want to be there because it's amazing. The IMDb has it rated at 8.6 out of 10, which is a shock. And Rotten Tomatoes has it with 99% fresh, which makes perfect sense. And a 90% audience score, which also is shocking to me because this was so good. So incredibly good. So the basic premise is, I just went through this with the novel review, so I'm gonna be even more succinct than I was then, which I was. The whole premise is this this navigator, a Dutch navigator on a ship, crashes, and the entire crew is captured by the local lord. The local lord wants to keep it a secret and leverage it for influence, because as we find out throughout the course of this entire series, Japan is in a pivotal moment in its history. You have outside influences from Europe trying to maneuver control over the entire culture, the entire island and continent, the entire island, and like everything about it. And it's not even just like the premise is that you have Protestants and Catholics from Britain and Portugal, respectively, trying to vie for control. Portugal Catholics are there already, and they're totally maneuvering the current regent lords for control of all of Japan by not only converting some of them and some of the population into Catholicism, but also maneuvering them politically to push away some of the less Catholic accepting lords and arrest control of the entire nation. And most of that is done unknowingly by the lords. They're just sort of going along with it because they personally want power too. And so on the other side of it, you have Blackthorne coming in, the navigator, the Dutch navigator. He's British. He is Protestant. And he immediately starts talking shit about the Catholics and the monks that are there and warning the leaders there about their influence and what they're trying to do, all the while not telling them that that's what he wants to do as well. But that's beside the point. Let's not focus on him. You know what I mean? So it's a really brilliant sort of us v them ploy politically and religiously. And this is shocking to all of the Japanese because they think that Christian is Christian. That's clearly not the case. And so, they're sort of trying to wrap their brain around the fact that there is internal strife within Christendom and within these different nations and different modes of warfare that they have never been exposed to because they are sort of like isolated. They have some major trysts with China, but they're pretty isolated unto themselves for the most part, and they don't really have outside influence other than Portugal at the moment. And so when Blackthorne comes in and people are starting to try to arrest control of him to use him as a pawn, that becomes a real political fight. And it gives him power ultimately through Toranaga, who is one of the leaders on the regions, who is sort of ousted because he doesn't want to go along with the Protestant Catholic regent leaders who are trying to wrest control away from the child king that will eventually take the throne as shogun, but can't because he's too young. And so he is going off, but he insists that he doesn't want to be shogun himself, Toranaga. And ultimately, throughout the course of the series, he realizes that, yes, in fact, I do want to be shogun, only so that I can preserve it for the actual king that will, come of age and can then take over. But he does it in such a subterfuge way that he intentionally loses some of his most important, what seem ultimately to be pawns, but collaborators in his maneuverings. His childhood friend and confidant lead general ends up killing himself. Mariko, who is an incredibly important translator for him to Blackthorne, ends up killing herself in defense of Toranaga's will. And it's just this amazing, it's almost like a thriller, to be quite honest. This amazing period political thriller that unfolds in feudal Japan. It sounds crazy and complex, and it kind of is, but when you're watching it and you're going episode by episode for such a wonderful amount of time in each episode, you just find yourself immersed and sunk in to these characters, and you start the series hating certain characters, and you end the series really liking certain characters and feeling genuine sorrow when they're gone. And I've waited so long to talk about this because I wanted to read the novel first so that I could really fill in any gaps that I felt could have been missing from translation from a novel to a series, and there was a lot of gaps missing. In fact, one of the things that I never got from the series, but I definitely got from the novel, was that Toranaga ended up deciding to go to be the shogun because of Blackthorne in the novel, but not in the series. In the series, it seemed like it was always his plan. He was just using his sort of maneuvering skill in order to execute this very subterfuge-styled plan, which was beautifully, rendered in the end. But it confused even his own soldiers almost so much, and leaders so much that they almost rose up against him. It was so intricate and under the table. No one saw what he was. I mean, this is literal 4D chess that he was playing, and everyone else was fucking playing Go Fish. It was really beautiful to see it unfold. Mariko, as the sort of translator for Blackthorne to Toranaga, was an incredible character. This is so let me give you the names of these people. So Lord Yoshii Toranaga was played by Hiroyuki Sanada, and I apologize when I mispronounce these names because I really do love these actors. I think they all did a genuinely phenomenal job, and I mean no disrespect by mispronouncing them. It's just I don't know how to fucking pronounce them. And then we have Cosmo Jarvis, who was Major John Blackthorne, who I didn't like him until about halfway through this show, like the actor. I didn't like how he was approaching the character. I didn't know if it was intentional. I didn't know if it was just his take. In fact, was intentional and a little bit of his own take, but it was in line with the novel after having read the novel. So I actually really appreciate him now. But halfway through the series, I was like, all right, I'm on his side now. I dig him. Toda Mariko was played by Anna Sawai, and she is just phenomenal. I mean, everyone's great in this, but she was just stand out. And one of the standout experiences of watching this for me, one of my favorite moments, was watching the slow, burgeoning relationship, secret relationship, even almost from each other, between Blackthorne and Mariko. They reluctantly and then secretly indulge in this love of one another. Interestingly, that's another point of difference in the novel from the series. It was much more standoffish and secretive in the series. In the novel, they were a thing. Like and a few people knew about it. It wasn't like this big, huge secret, but no one spoke about it because that's Japanese culture. It's not Western culture. It's a totally different thing. You didn't really get the difference. You got some of the difference. You didn't get all of it in the series. You definitely got it in the novel. It was like night and day in the novel. In the series, it's like a nightlight, So it's not quite as stark, is my point. There's a lot of other great characters like Tadanobu Asano, who played Kashigi Yabushige. Oh, I'm terrible. He was the Lord of Izu. He enjoyed watching people die, and he wanted to witness their soul leaving their body. And so he would like torture people until they died, watching the whole time and being thrilled. And he would regularly fuck boys and girls, and it was just like a normal thing. It's in the series, it came off as being like, oh, that's weird. But in the novel, it's explained that no, that's normal. Everyone does that. That's not a strange thing. Everyone does that. So, and it's like a point of contention that goes on too long in the novel, in my personal feeling. And so seeing it in the series, it felt much more natural and normal. And it wasn't just like, like a record scratch and stopping the momentum of the story, which it definitely did in the novel. Let's see. Father Martin Alvito was played by Tommy Basto. He did a fantastic job. Takahiro Hira played Ishido Kazunari. And he was the sort of chief rival of Toranaga. I'm not going to name every single name. They all did a brilliant job. And this is just one of those series that if you like good television, even though I mean streaming, if you like good storytelling that is immersive and true to the period, visually, audibly, and performance-wise, this is it. This is the pinnacle that you can expect. I haven't seen anything close to this. And if it does come close, it's missing one of the elements that this shines in. So do yourselves a favor and check this out. I can't think of one thing that I didn't like about this, like a least favorite. Normally I do like a most favorite and least favorite. I don't have a least favorite of the series. It was too short, maybe. It ended too soon. Like, it told the entire story of the novel. And so it's brilliant. Like, slow clap. It deserves every second of it. Because of that, I gave it 5 out of 5 evil eyes. This is something that you have to see. This is not, I'll get to it eventually in life and then you just never do. No. Make time for this. It's worth your time and you will not regret it. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I really genuinely appreciate your interaction. I hope you guys have a fantastic new year. And this being, the second of the New Year episodes. I've got another one tonight. I'm going to be doing Nosferatu review, so look forward to that. As always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live. Like it or not, it's true. So get out there and be evil.